Kal Kadosh Boker or Mishna Yomi Masechet Zevachim. This is Perek Bet, chapter 2, Mishna Aleph and Bet, Mishna 1 and 2. Says the Mishnah, Kol Zevachim shekibel daman zar, any korban where the blood was received by a stranger. Remember that the shechita is kosher by a non-kohen, but the kabbalat adam always has to be done by a kohen. So if it was done by a zar, a stranger, which is a non-kohen, or an onen means a kohen, but he's in avelut, but before the avelut process, when the person passes away until the avelut. Tvul yom, if it was done by a kohen, but he's tameh, but he went to the mikveh in the morning, but he's not tahor until the nighttime. That's called a tvul yom, that he did tevilah during the day. Mechusar begadim, or he lacks the clothing of a kohen, meaning a kohen could only do the service in the Bet HaMikdash only if he's wearing the clothing of a kohen. But what happens if he doesn't have the clothing? Or mechusar kippurim, or he's lacking atonement, which means that he needs korbanot in order to take him out of his tumah. Or shelo rechutz yadayim raglayim, he did not do the kiddush yadayim raglayim. Remember, any kohen that he does the service in the Bet HaMikdash, he has to wash his hands and his feet. Arel, or the kohen, is not circumcised. Tameh, he's tameh. Yoshev, if he's doing the avodah when he's sitting. Omer l'gabei kabim l'gabei bima l'gabei raglei chavero, if he's standing, but he's not standing directly on the ground. He's standing on top of utensils, or on top of an animal, or the feet of his friend. So therefore, pasal, in all these cases, the kohen was not fit to do the avodah, and therefore he invalidated the avodah completely. Kibel bismol, if he accepted the blood with the left hand instead of the right hand, pasal, he invalidated it. Rabbi Shimon says it's still going to be kosher even though he used his left hands. Nishpach ala ditzpa, what happens if the blood fell on the floor? Right? That means, again, he was receiving the blood and it fell on the floor, vasafon, he gathered it together, pasal, again, it's going to be pasul. Right? You're not allowed to use it. It has to be directly from the neck into the utensil. Netanol gabea kevesh, if the kohen put the blood on the wall of the ramp leading up to the mizbeach, shelo keneged yisod, which is not by the wall of the yisod, which that's where they're supposed to put it, right? Nataneta nitanin lemata lemalan, nitanin lemala lematan. He put the blood which was supposed to be on the bottom part and the top part of the bottom part. Remember that the mizbeach had the chuta sikra, which was a line, one amma underneath the middle part, which you go around. So you got the yisod, which is on the bottom part, and then you got the middle part. So one amma below hand, you had a chuta sikra, which was a red line, and that red line, they had to do certain korbanot above and certain korbanot below. Depends whether it's going to be a chatat or an olah, and it depends whether it's, which is a sin offering or a burnt offering, and it depends whether it's an animal or a bird, meaning each one has its rules. So if they went and they did the opposite of what they were supposed to do, meaning he put the blood was supposed to be sprinkled on the bottom, he did it on the top, or the one that was on the top, he did it on the bottom. Certain korbanot, you have to sprinkle the blood inside on the inner mizbeach, which is called the mizbach zahav, right? Which is called the mizbach ketoret, right? Which is inside the ulam. But then other ones are supposed to be done on the outer mizbeach. The outer mizbeach is called the mizbach nechoshet or mizbeach chitzon, not mizbeach primi, right? So therefore, it's going to be pasul ve'embo karet. But in these cases, there's not going to be karet for eating the meat, right? That means even though it's disqualified, but there's no karet. But if it's only the meat and the murim that are not valid, but the korban itself is valid, so therefore it's going to atone the person who brought it. Okay, Mishnah Bet. Hashochet et zevach lizrok tamum bachutz. What happens right now if a person comes and he slaughters the korban, and he wants to throw the blood outside of the chatzer, or mixat or even part of the blood outside, or to bring the innards on the outside of the courtyard, or or only part of the innards, to eat the meat outside of the permitted area, or even if it's a kazayit of the meat outside, or you want to eat a kazayit of the hide, which is the ora aliyah of the fat tail of the sheep outside of the permitted area. So in all these cases, it's going to be pasul ve'en bo karet, but there's no karet for eating its meat. He says because just the intention to throw it or do it in outside already invalidates it, but the penalty of karet does not apply to eating it. This is in contrast to the next Mishnah, where improper intention does make it liable to karet. Lizrok damol machar. Whenever he slaughters it and he wants to sprinkle the blood tomorrow, and he obviously has to do it today, or even part of the blood tomorrow. Laktir murav machar. He wants to burn part of the innards tomorrow, right? Or mixat, or part of the innards tomorrow. Lechol besol machar, to eat the meat tomorrow, right? Or even part of the meat. Kazai besal machar. Or lechol kazai me'or aliyah machar, to eat a kazait of the hide of the fat tail the next day. Pigul, that is considered pigul, and anything which is considered pigul, there is a chiyuv of karet. Because remember that once it's going to be pigul, there's going to be karet if a person came and he did it improperly.